The morning air in Red Hook still held onto its chill, despite the rising sun. Zoe Carter stood before the brick wall of a long abandoned textile building, her fingers cold but steady around a can of matte charcoal spray. Her breath formed pale clouds as she stepped back, studying the unfinished face she'd been painting since dawn. The contours of age, the fine lines of wisdom, the weight of 1,000 untold stories etched into one powerful expression. It was Margaret, Miss Margaret Harris. Zoe didn't use sketches, no stencils, just memory, raw, imperfect, and real. Miss Margaret had lived 3 doors down from her mother's apartment. In the summer, she would sit on her fire escape, fanning herself with a church bulletin and tossing breadcrumbs to pigeons who knew better than to mess with her. During the pandemic, she was the only person who knocked on Zoe's door to check if she had enough to eat. Now, she was gone, and Zoe couldn't let that be the end of her. A few passers-by had stopped throughout the morning. Some took photos, some whispered. No one said anything directly. They never did. Zoe was used to that. A black woman painting on a public wall wasn't considered an artist. She was a nuisance, a risk, a threat, until proven otherwise. She stepped onto the cracked sidewalk to refill her paint tray when she saw him. A man in a long camel-colored wool coat, navy scarf draped just so. Tall, pale, not local. His eyes were sharp, calculating, even when still. In his hand, a to-go cup from a boutique cafe half a mile up the gentrified side of Van Brunt Street. He was staring at the mural. No, not just the mural. The eyes. Her eyes. He didn't speak immediately. Instead, he approached slowly, casually, like someone inspecting a gallery piece they weren't sure they understood. "You did this?" he finally asked, his voice low, rich, almost amused. Zoe didn't answer right away. She wasn't in the mood for polite curiosity. "Yeah," she said flatly. "No stencil. No permission either, if that's what you're wondering." The man smiled slightly, raising an eyebrow. "It's powerful. I assumed it was commissioned." "Nope, just grief." He nodded once, looking again at the face on the wall. "Who is she?" Zoe hesitated. Then, "She lived here, this block, before the virus took her." He didn't ask more. Instead, he raised his phone, snapped a single photo of the mural, and turned to go. No name, no card, just polished shoes disappearing into a black SUV with tinted windows. Zoe shook her head. Rich folks passed through Red Hook now and then, real estate scouts, architects, urban revivalists. They looked, they nodded, they documented. Then they came back with lawyers and bulldozers. She'd seen it before. That afternoon, she returned to her apartment, a fifth-floor walk-up with cracked ceilings and roaches that refused to die. She sat at the window, sketchbook open, waiting for the sun to drop. The next morning, she came back to the wall early, and her heart stopped. Spray-painted lines, thick, bright, unmistakable, ran in diagonal X's across the mural. A neon orange notice posted on the fence, demolition pending. Below that, the unmistakable white and blue logo, Ross Urban Design. Zoe's blood ran cold. Ross Urban. The name was everywhere. Downtown Brooklyn, Bushwick, Bed-Stuy. They were the ones buying up crumbling buildings, flipping them into condos with fake brick veneers and rooftop yoga decks. Revitalization, they called it. Opportunity. To Zoe, it felt more like erasure. She clenched her fists so hard her nails bit her palms. That wall wasn't just paint. It was memory, community, her. That night, Zoe came back. This time, she didn't paint Margaret. She painted him, the man in the coat, that smug, curated confidence, perched like a puppeteer above rows of brownstone buildings, yanking strings attached to cranes, wrecking balls, smiling realtors. Underneath, in bold white spray, "Whose city is this?" The piece took her until 3 a.m. She painted with a vengeance, her breath ragged, eyes stinging from fumes and fury. When it was finished, she stepped back and filmed a short clip on her phone. No words, just the image, the mural, the raw question. She uploaded it to TikTok under her alias, Lidded Cut Deep. By morning, it had 2.1 million views. By evening, it had 10. The comments were furious and poetic. "This ain't art, it's truth. White money erasing black roots, same song, new beat. Zoe Carter, whoever you are, don't stop." Her inbox exploded. Journalists, activists, artists, even real estate watchdogs wanted interviews. She ignored them all. On day 3, the black SUV returned. Same coat, same man. This time he wasn't alone. 2 assistants flanking him, phones out, sunglasses on. He walked with precision, like someone who'd just bought the block and was checking the condition of his product. Zoe was waiting for him. Her paint-stained hands were folded. She was calm. He stopped 5 feet from her. His voice was different now. Colder. Official. "I'm told you painted that." He gestured toward the second mural. "On private property." "I don't see your name on it," she said evenly. "Yet?" He tilted his head, studying her. "I recognized the first piece. The woman. That one had emotion. This one has teeth." "She deserved memory," Zoe said. "And this is resistance." He didn't smile. "You're talented," he said, "but you don't know who you're fighting." "I don't have to," she replied. "You're already here with an army." Then something unexpected happened. His gaze dropped to the sketchbook in her hand. The corner of a loose sheet peeked out. He reached too quickly, and she jerked back. The paper floated to the ground between them. It was a soft pencil portrait. A woman's face, wrinkles, kind eyes. His hand trembled as he picked it up. He stared at it for a long time. Too long. Then, quietly, almost choking, "Where did you see this woman?" Zoe's eyebrows furrowed. "That's Miss Margaret. I drew her yesterday, before she faded in my mind." His mouth opened, closed, his face drained of color. "That was my mother." Zoe blinked, her chest suddenly tight. "What?" She lived here before. I moved her into assisted care when her health declined. She wouldn't leave without a fight." Zoe stared at him like she was seeing through him for the first time. "She fed my dog through the fence when I worked nights," she said slowly. "She called me Little Rebel, told me the city would eat my art if I let it." Nathan Ross, the man with glass towers and steel ambition, looked down at the paper in his hand like it was a photograph from another lifetime. "I didn't know she passed," he said softly. "They called me weeks later. I was in Zurich." Zoe didn't speak. A long silence grew between them, the kind that bends time. Then, without another word, he turned and walked back to his SUV. No commands, no threats, just silence. Zoe stood in the shadow of her mural, heart pounding, mind reeling. She had pierced something in him, something not made of money, and it was only the beginning. Zoe didn't sleep that night. The sketchbook lay open on her mattress, staring back at her like it knew too much. The page with Miss Margaret's portrait had been handled, creased now by the billionaire's hand. The same hand that signed contracts to flatten buildings, evict grandmothers, raise rents past oxygen levels. And yet, it trembled. He didn't deny it. He didn't posture or threaten. He had just stood there, frozen. Zoe remembered how his mouth had opened. A breath, a memory, a name that still echoed in her own chest. Margaret. A week ago, he was just another man in a coat, with coffee and capital. Now he had a face that cracked. By noon the next day, everything changed. Zoe arrived early to repaint the mural's lower edge. Someone had scrawled, "Go back to your own neighborhood," across the puppet strings. She knew it was ironic. She'd lived here longer than most of the wine bar clientele who now walked their rescue dogs in designer harnesses. But that's how erasure worked. Quiet at first, then noisy with money. She was halfway through blending shadow into brick when she heard the noise. No engines, just voices. Soft at first, then louder. She turned. The block was filling, not with developers, with neighbors, locals, teenagers, elderly men in folding chairs, street vendors, poets, kids on bikes. Someone had posted her second mural to Instagram. It had gone viral again, not with rage this time, but reverence. "She painted Miss Margaret," a man said. "Remember? Building 418? "That's my abuelita on the far left," said a girl with dyed green braids, pointing to Zoe's mural. "She used to sell tamales right here." "I thought they were just walls," someone whispered. "But they're stories." Zoe's hands trembled as she lowered her brush. The crowd didn't ask for autographs. They brought candles, flowers, old photos, and then the cameras came. Not hers. Media. It started with local blogs, then WNYC, then a segment on NY1 titled "Brooklyn Muralist Forces Billionaire to Confront Gentrification." They used her name, Zoe Carter. No more Izid cut deep, no more anonymity. She was exposed now, not as a threat, as a witness. That same evening, Ross Urban Design released a statement. It was bland, corporate, carefully parsed. "We respect the artistic expression of Ms. Zoe Carter. We are reviewing redevelopment plans to ensure the spirit of the community is preserved." Zoe nearly threw her phone at the wall. Preserved? Like pickles? Like ashes? She was still staring at the screen when a knock came. She didn't answer it. The knock came again, slower, deliberate. Through the peephole, the coat, Nathan Ross. She opened the door halfway. He didn't speak immediately. He looked different. No assistants, no phone, just him, holding something, a manila folder. "I'd like to show you something," he said. Zoe didn't budge. "I'm not here to silence you," he added. "I'm here because you woke up something I thought I buried." Reluctantly, she let him in, just far enough to stand by the wall with the peeling paint and sketches taped like prayer flags, her whole world in graphite and ink. Nathan opened the folder. Blueprints, architectural plans, not the slick, sterilized mock-ups of high-rise condos, but hand-drawn elevations, low structures, community gardens, co-ops, and open gallery space. Your mother wanted to turn this neighborhood into a museum, Zoe asked, arms crossed. He exhaled. My mother believed in spaces that remembered the people inside them, not replaced them. Zoe looked at him skeptical. And yet, your name's on the demo permit for the mural wall. She wouldn't recognize what I've become, Nathan admitted. Ross Urban became efficient, profitable, soulless. Zoe stepped closer. You want my forgiveness? No, he said quickly. I want your input. That caught her off guard. He laid out 3 more pages, all site plans. He tapped the one labeled Parcel B. This was supposed to be luxury units, he said. Now it's zoned for flexible community use. No final plan yet, unless you have one. Zoe stared at the paper. She wasn't an architect. She didn't have degrees or donors, just vision and fight. You think a gallery makes this right? She asked. A few murals and you wash your hands clean? Nathan shook his head. This isn't restitution. It's recognition. He pointed toward her sketchbook, still open on the table. That page, my mother's face. You remembered her, and somehow I didn't. Zoe looked away. She hated that he said it like a confession, because it felt like truth. A billionaire breaking. She had seen concrete crack easier than a man like him. I'm not interested in a PR stunt, she warned. Then don't do it for me, he said. The next morning, Zoe returned to the mural, expecting cameras, expecting conflict. Instead, she found something else. The building was still there, untouched, and in front of the wall, a small iron fence, flowers, 2 folding chairs, a laminated sign, in memory of Margaret Ross and the people who made this block a home. Zoe swallowed hard. No press release, no headlines, just presence. And standing beside the mural, not interrupting, not directing, was Nathan, a clipboard in hand, but silent, watching. Zoe approached slowly. Thought you were allergic to standing still, she said. I'm learning. Where's the construction crew? Gone, he said. For good. He handed her the clipboard, a proposal, not just for the wall, but for the block. The corner lot would become a community studio, free space, no rent, no contracts, run by Zoe, backed anonymously. She scanned the terms, no branding, no logo, just a simple line on the final page. All artistic and cultural rights remain with Carter Studio and its community partners. Zoe looked up. This isn't pity. It's penance, he said. A pause. Don't make me trust you, she said. I don't want your trust, Nathan replied. I want to earn your silence. She raised an eyebrow. He corrected himself. Your partnership, he said. She handed him the clipboard back. I don't sign anything without paint on my hands. And with that, she turned, picked up a new can of black mat, and walked to the far wall, a blank raw canvas of aged brick. The people began gathering again, and Zoe Carter began to paint. 3 weeks later, Red Hook didn't look the same, but not because of demolition, because of color. The once abandoned wall that bore Miss Margaret's face was now part of something larger, a living mural that wrapped around the entire block like a memory stitched into stone. Faces of people who'd lived, worked, raised families here. A street vendor laughing with her hands in the air, a kid holding a broken basketball, a postal worker handing a letter to a woman in curlers. No names, no plaques, just stories. Zoe stood on scaffolding, black hoodie speckled with paint, hand moving with grace and grit as she traced the outline of a little girl crouching by a fire hydrant, watching shadows stretch across a cracked sidewalk. Below, neighbors gathered like churchgoers. Kids brought folding chairs. A man played soft saxophone from a stoop. No one told him to stop. A new energy hummed in the air. Not hope, something harder. Belonging. A woman in her 50s with silver cornrows approached the fence. Zoe saw her point at one of the faces on the wall, covering her mouth in awe. "That's my cousin," she whispered. "I haven't seen her since they moved her out. You remembered her." Zoe smiled. "We all remember her. I just put it where nobody can erase it." From across the street, someone clapped slowly. Zoe turned. Nathan Ross. He was dressed more simply now. No coat, no polished leather, just jeans, rolled sleeves, and eyes that no longer darted to his phone. He stayed on the sidewalk, watched, waited. He hadn't spoken to press, not once, though every major paper in the city had run a headline about him. Billionaire halts luxury build, funds grassroots art center in Brooklyn. Ross urban pauses, projects amid community backlash. But Nathan didn't care about the press. He cared about the wall. It had become his mirror. Zoe climbed down as the sun began to dip. The crowd had thinned. The paint cans clicked closed. She pulled off her gloves and stepped across the street toward him. "You didn't bail," she said. "I'm stubborn." She nodded. "Same." They stood in silence for a moment, the kind that wasn't awkward anymore, just honest. He gestured to the new community center next door, a low red brick building now filled with laughter, music, and a huge open room with sunlight flooding through exposed beams. "Went in today," he said. "They're teaching kids how to silk screen. A 12-year-old named Jamal made a tote bag that says, 'Capitalism stole my stoop.'" Zoe snorted. "Sounds about right." "I offered him a scholarship," Nathan added. "He declined." "Smart kid." They both smiled. Zoe looked back at the mural. "I'm not done," she said. "One last piece." She walked back to the scaffolding and climbed halfway up. And there, in the center of a now clear patch of brick, she painted a girl, small, standing alone in an alley, one hand holding a can of paint, the other stretched out like she was about to write. On the empty space of wall, she painted the final words in crisp, defiant white. "You can erase walls, not stories." The brush fell silent. The street went quiet, and Nathan, standing beneath it, closed his eyes. The next morning, news spread again, but Zoe Carter didn't give interviews. She didn't want a TED Talk, or a sponsorship, or a street named after her. She just wanted the wall to stand, and it did. The mural was sealed with weatherproof resin. The foundation was placed in her name, Zoe Carter Community Studio, but she refused to be listed as director. She said the director was the paint, the people, the truth. She kept painting, one wall at a time, never signing her name, only her message. And Nathan Ross, he stayed. He sat in meetings with local organizers, took notes, and spoke only when asked. He gave up 10 lots across the borough, not as a gift, as accountability. He never asked Zoe for credit, only clarity. He once said to her quietly, "You were right. I wasn't erasing buildings. I was erasing memory." She replied, "But memory's loud." In time, people forgot the headlines. The hashtags faded. But the mural remained, a girl holding paint, facing the open sky. And beneath her words, carved into the corner of the wall in tiny, almost hidden script, Zoe added one final sentence. She still stands. And she did. So did the mural. So did they all.